July 4th, 1861. The American Civil War had already begun, but it had only just gotten started. On the East Coast, Unionists were mourning the death of Elmer Ellsworth, while secessionists were mourning James Jackson, both dead from the same incident. Some wives and mothers in Missouri were grieving for loved ones lost when the state militia skirmished with the Federal Army. But over on the West Coast, Unionists in California were mourning the martyrdom of Assemblyman Charles Piercy, a pro-Union Democrat who was killed in a duel by pro-Confederate Assemblyman Dan Showalter. All of this was still before the First Battle of Manassas, and no one had any idea how bad this war would get. That 4th of July in 1861, California seemed to take a day off from the Civil War, still in its infancy, when people still believed it would be over before they could get a piece of the action. In the capital city of Sacramento, crowds of people in the city were outside enjoying the nighttime fireworks. The fireworks ended around 10 p.m. At that point, people were still drinking and throwing around firecrackers and carrying on in the streets. That's when a retired Army major named George Gillis, who was a passionate Confederate sympathizer, unfurled a homemade Confederate flag attached to his tall walking stick. It was an adaptation of the Stars and Bars, since the design for the battle flag had not yet made it to the West Coast. Gillis marched up the downtown boardwalk with that flag waving in front of him, and he stopped in front of the St. George Hotel on the corner of 4th Street and J Street. A crowd of Confederate sympathizers gathered to cheer on Gillis as he waved his homemade Stars and Bars. That was when Gillis caught the attention of two devout Unionists, J.W. Biderman and Curtis Clark. The two men followed Gillis as he kept marching. Then Biderman got close and lunged at Gillis, grabbing his throat with one hand while tearing the rebel flag off the walking stick with the other hand. Meanwhile, Clark encouraged other people not to get involved. Biderman shouted to the crowd that no such flag as that could be carried in this town. Gillis wanted to fight for his flag, but no one in the crowd was willing to step up on his behalf, so he gave up, for the moment. Meanwhile, Biderman and Clark sent word to their friends and associates to gather at the St. George Hotel for strength in numbers, to prevent rebel sympathizers in the town from attempting to liberate the captured Confederate flag. Gillis came back later that night and begged the men for his flag back, but the Unionists refused to give it back. Through a still unknown chain of events, Gillis's flag, which has been renamed the Biderman flag by historical tradition, ended up as the property of the California State Capitol Museum, where it's still on display. The museum display claims the Biderman flag is the only known Confederate flag captured in California during the Civil War. What's most striking about this homemade flag is its 17 stars. The Confederacy only claimed 13 states, the 11 southeastern states, plus Kentucky and Missouri, which had competing state governments, one Union and one Confederate. After the 13 states, one of the extra stars most likely represents Maryland, another slave state with strong southern leanings, so strong that the Union Army had to occupy Baltimore to keep the state from seceding. After that, there's the Arizona Territory, which seceded in March, and the New Mexico Territory, which had not seceded but where slavery was legal and the Confederate Army was making plans to take it. So then, the 17th star stands for California, which many secessionists hungered to bring into the Confederacy, even if Richmond never made a serious try. However, it was less than a month after this incident in Sacramento when John R. Baylor and his Texas troops extended the Confederacy's western border to the Colorado River, to the eastern border of California. Thank you for watching the Civil War Wild West edition. Happy 4th of July, and be safe on the road tonight.